Welcome to Heal Your Past, Master Your Future. I'm your host, Tracy Malone, a certified holistic counsellor and coach with over 15 years of experience in supporting people to live their best lives. In this podcast, I aim to guide you through the transformative process of healing your past wounds and empowering you to create the life of your dreams. In today's episode, I will be helping you to unmask the being seen wound. As you are probably aware, if you've listened to the other podcast episodes, I love to identify the root unconscious wounds that lie underneath our current behaviours today. We follow the Jung quote, "Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life and we'll call it fate or the universe." Bringing these unconscious wounds into our consciousness and into our awareness is the first step to healing. So what on earth is the being seen wound? It is literally as it sounds. It stems from a time in our childhood when we were not seen or we were not allowed to be seen as our full selves. And I want to talk first about how it actually presents in our daily life now, because this is where it comes into our awareness. If I go to the childhood first and I say this is how it's created, it might not ring a bell. But if I show you how it's turning up now and showing up now in your life today, it may help you attach it to something from your childhood. So this wound, the being seen wound, I'm actually going to do it over 2 podcasts. And there's a really important reason for that, because there's a part of the being seen wound that is a standalone topic, and I'm going to get that in the next episode. So look out for that one. If you're in a relationship with your friends, it can be a partner, with your child, with your parents, with your work colleagues, do you feel truly seen and understood by them? Do you feel like they're able to see all of you and you feel safe giving all parts of you? Or are you only giving them the parts that you think they will love and you're keeping parts of yourself hidden behind? Yeah, that's one of the big ones that so many of us have. You think that you hear being seen wound and you're like, oh, I'm not sure I've got that. And then I start talking, you're like, oh my God, that's everyone. We all put a mask on. We all talk about it, especially women. I'm going to put my face on and go out into the world. We use makeup as a mask to present ourselves to the world. We use clothes, we use our intellect, we use all these things to keep people at arm's length in some way. So that's one of the ways that the being seen wound shows up in our life every single day. Another one is that thing that is in all of our lives now, and that is social media. When you're looking at social media, how do you feel when someone gets millions of likes and they have a viral video? Do you think, I can do that too? And you put a video out there yourself and you either don't feel good about putting it out there and don't end up putting it out there, or you do put it out there, but it gets no real traction. It's a big one. Why does one person get 1 million views and another person get 6 or 200? That is around the being seen wound. We are energetically putting out into the world that it is not safe for us to be seen. It is not our time to be seen, and we don't actually write down the adult self, our adult part probably really wants to be seen, but that wounded part of us, that unconscious part of us says it's not safe for us to be seen, so we're not going to allow that to happen. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this one because social media is something that we all understand. I work with a lot of business coaching clients, and this is one thing that I work on all the time. Sometimes I help them to write the script for their reels or for whatever it is they're putting out into the world, but whether or not it lands for their client, their ideal clients out in the world, is not so much about the words that they're saying. It's about the vibration that they're holding around their being seen wound. So what I actually do is when people are not getting traction on social media, the first thing I do is I actually go back and I heal the past. I heal the past wound around the being seen wound. And then what happens is that because they feel safe to be seen, because they actually feel really excited about being seen, they're putting that out into the world and then everything changes for them. I have one client who came to me and they had a personal training business, or they have a personal training business. And it was all around I have all of these incredible qualifications, and he really does have incredible qualifications. And he said, I don't know why my business just can't get flowing. I've got great marketing. I looked at it. I agree. It's like there's nothing I'd actually change there. So we actually went back and we did a full family constellation, and we found some really interesting things in the ancestry that was like, well, of course it's not safe for you to be seen. It's not safe for anyone in the family to be seen, and here's why. Because of this thing that happened back in his ancestry. His was around war and things like that. He then came and did a soul work circle that I do around money. And after that session as well, we went even deeper into his money story, and we healed the block that was coming up for him around money. He is now, I've just heard, I ran into his wife yesterday because he's too busy. This is amazing. He's too busy to message me because he's full of clients. His client books are now full. Just after 2 sessions with me, his business took off. That's how important it is. I could do business coaching and I could have said, let's rearrange your marketing. Let's sit down. You don't have your brand voice properly. You don't have all these things. Now, I can do all of that with you, and I do that with business coaching clients sometimes. But this is the most important thing to do. Heal your past, master your future. And I'm hoping through this podcast you come to understand how important healing your past is. Until your unconscious becomes conscious, it will run your life and you will call it fate. Yeah, he could have kept telling himself that he wasn't good enough at what it was that he did, but he's really frustrated because he knows that he is really good at what he does. And we healed these wounds around being seen. His books are now full. So I'm hoping you're getting to understand how important it is to heal these past wounds. I also did this for myself, and I am a classic example of how this works. I have business clients that come to me for coaching who have thousands of followers, but they're not making any money from their business. The only advertising I do for my business is word of mouth, obviously, and it's my social media pages. It's the reason that this podcast actually exists as well, because the podcast producer watched these videos and said, I believe there's a podcast in that. And the reason that that all comes into my field now, why wasn't this happening years ago? Because I spent a long time working on my being seen wound. I didn't change what I was doing. I didn't believe that I had to have thousands of followers before anything would work. I didn't believe that I have to have a viral reel in order to get clients. I knew that all I had to do was work around my being seen wound. And when I work around my being seen wound, I don't hold this belief about anything. I just know that my message is going to get to the exact people that it needs to get to, and it will do the job it needs to do to bring those people to me so that I can teach them how I did this. And when I put these videos out, I'm being my true authentic self. I'm putting all parts of me forward. I'm not putting a mask on when I do these videos. I connect deeply to all parts of me, and then I do the videos. And that's how I get the message more deeply connecting to the people who are ready to work with me. When you look at the age of computers, these phones, we don't have mobile phones anymore. We have computers literally in our hands. They have all the functionality that a laptop has, and it's right there for us now. So the 2 questions I'm going to ask you around screens right now, especially the little ones, our phones that we have, our mini computers in our hand. The first thing is that we're looking at them so much that we're forgetting to truly see the people around us. They're distracting us from that deep connection to truly be able to stop and see the people that are in our presence. We're looking to that little screen for connection instead of in the real humans around us. And that's something that I want you to have a little bit of a think about. Whenever you go to pick up your phone, what is it that you're looking for? You're looking for connection usually, and it might be something else for you. I notice if I'm picking up my phone too much in a day, I'm like, oh, what's going on here? I've just looked at this same post 6 times. I've picked up my phone a lot in the last 20 minutes. What's going on for me here? And it's like, I need connection. It's like, all right, how can I get that in a different way? How can I give that to myself in a way where I don't need to put a screen in front of me to do so? When I do that, and I see the part of me that's actually asking for my attention and asking to be truly seen, then I actually don't pick my phone up as much. Pretty cool, huh? Another thing I want you to think about with screens, and especially social media, how much of what you're seeing on the screen is the authentic person? Do you honestly believe? Are you telling yourself a story about the person that you're seeing on there? Or do you honestly believe that you're seeing their true, full, vulnerable self and all parts of them when you're looking at them on the screen? So really we're thinking about social media, and it has been really created for us to put a mask on and put a part of us forward. It doesn't get to show all of who we are. I want you to think about that as well when you're putting socials out into the world, whether it's for your business or personal. Are you being your authentic self? And how can you be more authentic? Because when you do that, you're going to build real connection with people. This is where we heal the past and we look into the past and how that has actually created it. The being seen wound was created when we're a child, and it's usually between the ages of 0 to 7 at the latest. It's usually done by 3 to 5. Do you remember when you're a kid and all you want as a kid, anyone who is a parent of a child younger than probably 7 to 10 years old will know these words. Look at me. Comedians do it. Look at me, look at me, look at me. We hear it thousands of times, sometimes in a day. That's that deep need within us to be seen, and a deep need within our children. They need to be seen by us, and they're asking us to see them. We all have this need, and if your parents were unable to meet that in some way, maybe it was the 1010th time you'd said it that day and they'd really had enough and they were looking elsewhere or talking to a friend and they weren't able to see you. These little parts create little wounds within us. Maybe your parents worked a lot and they weren't able to go to a school performance or a sports game, or they just couldn't be there for you to see you doing these really cool things that you were doing. And sometimes that really cool thing is just a dance move in the lounge room, and sometimes it's a performance of some kind. Maybe they worked a lot and they come home really tired. Maybe through their own parenting, they believed that children were meant to be seen and not heard. And if they had to be seen, they were only allowed to be seen in a certain way, and that was happy and that was perfect. And if they weren't those things, then the children needed to not be seen. Hence why we need a mask when we go out into the world. I can only be seen as perfect, otherwise I will not be accepted and I will be excluded. And we know how important the feeling of belonging is to help us survive in life. And so this really hits home for us. And then, as you know from the first episodes of the podcast, when we have these wounds, these little parts of us split off and they become passengers on the bus. And so far they've been unconscious passengers on the bus. And there is a part of us, this small part of us, that believes it's actually not safe for us to be seen fully. We will not be accepted if we are seen fully. And this little part has stayed small, and they are doing the best they can. And every time you step out into the world to try and be seen in some way, you put a video out, you got to do a talk in front of people. Even it can happen at a dinner party, really speaking up, speaking your mind, speaking what you truly think in any moment. That little part of you says, we don't do that, it's not safe. And they jump into the driver's seat. Cue anxiety, stage fright. What other things can you think about that happen to you when you go to do those things in the moment? Or maybe somebody's told you about what happens for them when they put themselves out there. And the being seen wound is a big one, because when you're healing your being seen wound, you are healing it to be fully seen. And that means you are fully seen by people who like and will support you. And you are also fully seen by people who do not like you, whom you will trigger, and who would actually like to tear you down. So that's something really important to understand about the being seen wound. You're healing it, and when you do, it doesn't mean you're going to be seen and everyone's going to love you. You're going to be seen and you're going to trigger some people, and you're going to be seen and you're going to be elevated by some people. And that's all okay, because when you heal this little part of you who doesn't feel safe to be seen, when you make them feel safe and you tell them that you've got this and it is okay for you to be seen, and you do all that work to integrate them and heal them and see them, seeing them fully, all parts of who they are, allowing that inner child to be angry, allowing that inner child to make mistakes, allowing that inner child just to fully be and embrace who they truly are. Then when there is somebody who tries to pull you down, you can hold a really clear boundary around that. So that's something to consider, is that being seen, you will be seen by everyone, but you'll also have the tools required to deal with it when you do it in this safe way and you heal your past first. And that's the key, healing your past to be able to master your future. I really hope this podcast has been able to bring into your awareness how the being seen wound really affects us in everyday life. And I'm sure you can really think, now that you have a deeper understanding of the being seen wound, about how else it's actually affecting your life, because it is a big one. Thank you again for joining me on this episode. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations and insights on the Heal Your Past, Master Your Future podcast. In the next episode, I'm going to go deeper into aging and the being seen wound. If you haven't healed the being seen wound, then transitioning for women into menopause and for men into older age, it's going to be a really interesting and triggering time for you. And that in itself deserves its own podcast episode because it's a big topic and I wanted to go deeper into that. If this has triggered anything in you, please reach out for support.